The second reading here is titled Dying to be Alive. Let's look at one of our biggest fears, the fear of death. Over the years and all the reading and research I've done, I've been surprised at how many successful and influential people have become that way, largely through facing their fear of death. Once they became free of their fear of death, they were free to live their life. Buckminster Fuller, famous inventor, thinker, and architect, almost committed suicide in his 30s after failing miserably as a businessman. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, faced his fear of death as a helicopter gunship pilot in Vietnam and tells a great story of making peace with his maker, allowing him to fly free rather than flying to avoid death. Michael Caine, world-class actor, faced his fear of death in the Korean War. In his subsequent pursuit to be an actor, he said, "If I died doing it, I didn't care. I only go forward. After Korea, nothing could dissuade me." He was free. There are many, many examples of people facing their fears with the result being freedom, freedom to live. These are extreme examples of actually facing death itself, but the principles are true for any fear. They are only as big as we make them. However, they are real for us, and they do grip us until we decide otherwise. This is evolution, and it is a core competency for you as a NexGen human, facing and embracing your fears, thereby creating more freedom and love in your life and the lives of others. Do not live your life to avoid dying. Die while still alive and be free to live your life. Let's take a deep breath and bring our awareness into our hearts, breathing in and out of the area of our heart. You can place your hands on your heart if you would like to activate greater awareness in this powerful area of your being. And just breathe deeply into this area. And as you're breathing, activate a feeling of appreciation or gratitude for something or someone in your life, anything. Breathe gratitude and appreciation in and out. Feel it in your heart. Feel it in your body. Expand that feeling out into every cell of your being and allow it to spill over out into the world, radiating, shining, glowing, soothing, inspiring, uplifting. This heart-based frequency of appreciation, of gratitude, of love is the pulse of life. Love is the energy of life. Love is life. Breathe it, know it, and be it. Thank you. Back on April 21st, when I was here in this church, in my first of 3 talks titled The Critical Skill, I covered the first 3 chapters of my book, NexGen Human, A Modern Age Path to Fulfillment. The critical skill, transcend and include, and a good place to start. In this second homily, I'll cover chapters 4 through 7. The Great Transformation, it's all about evolution, one step at a time, and your place in the universe, the power of your purpose. As a reminder, a NexGen Human is the next generation of human being arising on the earth. This is our next big turn in our evolutionary unfolding and destiny, and it's happening now through each and every one of us. Father Sean calls it Homo Spiritualis. Barbara Marx Hubbard calls it Homo Universalis. Sri Aurobindo calls it the Gnostic being or the superhuman. Friedrich Nietzsche called it the Übermensch. I call it the NexGen Human. Father Sean defines Homo Spiritualis as anyone who is awakening from the dream of identification with the incarnational spacesuit and who can laugh at the illusion that we are separate from source, from nature, or from each other. Such a one has compassion for all, and a significant part of such compassion is the willingness to confront Homo Sociopathicus, and thus short-circuit the zombie slide into becoming hackable, programmable robots called Homo Artificialis. Aligned with this definition of our evolutionary opportunity, in my book I outline 11 evolutionary traits of a NexGen human. Each of these is presented in more detail with its own chapter. As a reminder, the first 3 traits of a NexGen human are first and foremost, and absolutely the most important, is embracing and cultivating a conscious, consistent connection with the intelligent power of the universe. Number 2, able to celebrate and integrate the past, transcending it and including it in a forever expanding new vision of life. And 3, proactively cultivates a focus on the good in life while not denying the challenging, difficult aspects, recognizing and not getting hooked by the mind's and society's tendency to focus on and create worries and fears, practicing gratitude, knowing there's always much to be grateful for. And today we're going to build on these 3 traits and add 4 more. Number 4, embracing the great transformation, transforming from victim to creator in all areas of life. Number 5, knowing it's all about evolution, continuously evolving to higher and wider planes of consciousness, accessing increasing levels of freedom and love. And 6, taking it one step at a time, having patience, trust, and allowing growth and expansion to occur naturally over time. And 7, appreciating your place in the universe and the power of your purpose, recognizing that each and every one of us has a reason for being here that is at the same time our greatest opportunity for personal evolution and the key to our highest fulfillment and satisfaction. So let's take the first one, the great transformation. The great transformation of our time is the transformation of the individual from victim to creator. As John Kehoe, author of Mind Power, said, "Our power comes the day we recognize we are not limited by outer world circumstances and situations." On the path of evolution, the great transformation is the first major transformation that happens for people. It has to be, since until we take responsibility for our lives, we have no power. We are giving our power away to other things, events, people, systems, whatever we believe is keeping us down. Coming to see ourselves as the creator of our lives brings both good news and bad news. The good news is we don't have to be a victim. We have power. We can do something about our experiences. And the bad news is that we are the ones that must do something about it. We cannot wait around complaining and pointing fingers, hoping and expecting that someone else will fix our lives for us. Ultimately, it's up to us. And that's the good news and the bad news. To see how aligned you are with this capacity of being responsible for your life, I invite you to say to yourself, my life is up to me. Say it right now with me if you'd like. My life is up to me. How does that feel for you? Does it occur as, yes, of course? Or maybe, well, yes, in some areas, but not all. Just notice your experience of taking full responsibility for your life, all of it. Notice if there are areas where you want to argue for your limitations, for your role as a victim of something or someone in your life. Consider that as long as you choose to be a victim of anything, you have no power in those areas of your life. Let me give you an example of an area from my own life where I had been a victim for many years, mostly unconscious. Death and dying. We hear people say, or we even say ourselves, well, the worst that could happen is I die. So if dying is the worst that could happen, I wanted to look into how I might be a bit more free of this terrible fear-filled thing called death. I wanted to reclaim some of my power from this area of my life where I had been playing victim, to be more responsible about my relationship with death and take my freedom to a new level. About 4 years ago, after the passing of my stepmother of more than 40 years, I started looking much more deeply into this thing called death. And wow, I found so much empowering, inspiring, amazing, transformational information, I couldn't believe it. Near-death experiences, shared death experiences, reincarnation, life between lives, soul contracts, soul families, oversouls, channels, mediums, quantum physics. The list goes on and on. I put much of this in an appendix of my book, Truth Bubble, as a truth bubble about death and dying, transforming my relationship with death from one based in fear to one literally based in celebration. We can reclaim our power and our freedom in any area of our life that we choose, moving from victim to conscious creator. I will not place any limitations on you as a human being to change any area of your life experience. What we can and cannot change is a unique choice we must each make for ourselves. Remember the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And know that this will be different for each person. The key is to be conscious about these choices we are making. And where we choose to not change things, then perhaps we can cultivate the serenity of authentic acceptance, which actually also is a form of claiming your power and no longer being a victim. So I ask you, are there areas of your life where you can stop being a victim, reclaim your power, and become more response-able? What and where might those areas be? And what might be your first step or action? I invite you to take it. So that leads us into chapter 5. It's all about evolution. As I asked myself this question, what's it all about? What are we doing here, having this human experience, living on Earth? And the answer came back to me that it's all about evolution at all levels, from the personal to the cosmic. In the frame of evolutionary panentheism, it is God waking up to itself, the Deus implicitus becoming Deus explicitus, the God inside us, inside all and everything, becoming more and more realized in the external world, more and more seen and experienced in and through as us, and through the entire universe. So for us as human beings, what does that look like? In the early stages, it looks like a lot of inner world work, healing our wounds, integrating and welcoming all aspects of ourselves, and becoming a self-realized, whole and complete, free, loving, and fully present human being. We have to do our own transformational evolutionary work. Some of us have a lot of work to do. We took on a very advanced curriculum here on Earth, and others may have relatively little. But we all have some work to do on ourselves. This is the evolutionary opportunity, might I say responsibility, for each of us. To know how far you've come and perhaps how much opportunity you have on this evolutionary path, you can ask yourself these questions. How free am I in all areas of my life? How joyful am I? How loving am I to myself, to others, to everything? How much love do I experience each day? How peaceful am I in my life? How present am I in every moment? How much awe and beauty do I experience each day? Am I fulfilling the highest vision of my life? The evolutionary path for human beings I'm interested in creates more peace, more joy, more love, more presence, more freedom, more awe, more beauty, more connection, and more true, authentic fulfillment of one's evolutionary potential. Walking this evolutionary path requires a practice of noticing any fears at the root of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Unexamined fears can hijack our evolutionary trajectory. These fears are transformed in a string of moments wherein you see the root fear and choose differently. Instead of unconsciously coming from fear, you consciously choose to trust and come from a place of love. This is transformation, and it's at the core of our evolution. If you think you have no fears in your life, perhaps you can look in these areas: death, losing your job or financial income, loss of a loved one, child, spouse, family member, or friend, negative judgment or rejection from others for any reason, letting others down, disappointing others, losing your home or being on the streets, failing at some aspect of your life, a work project, a business endeavor, a relationship, losing your health, becoming disabled in some way, or suffering some kind of physical pain, being robbed, beaten, shot, stabbed, or abused in some way. All of these are possible areas for our evolution, for transforming fear and contraction into love and freedom. We come to realize there is no one and no thing to transform but ourselves. It's a paradox that to be free of our fears, we must embrace and allow them. Resistance causes persistence. When you can allow, when you can surrender, when you can let go, when you are no longer afraid, that's when you experience freedom. The key is to love yourself right where you are. Embrace your fears and love yourself into your next highest expression, experience, and fulfillment. Love is the key, not fear. Fear transformed is love. This is the evolutionary opportunity of our time, and it's all about evolution. Let's take a deep breath and bring our awareness into our hearts. This practice of connecting to our hearts is a key and potent practice. We can breathe down into our hearts, activate a feeling of appreciation, of gratitude for something or someone in your life, anything. Feel it in your heart, feel it in your body, expand that feeling out into every cell of your being, and allow it to spill out and over into the world, radiating, shining, glowing, soothing, inspiring, uplifting. This heart-based frequency of appreciation and gratitude, of love, is the pulse of life, the energy of life. Love is life. We can breathe it, we can know it, and we can be it. Thank you. That brings us to chapter 6. One step at a time. Promises of overnight success in health, wealth, and happiness are rampant in our capitalistic society. Here's the seminar pitch you hear on YouTube. Tired of waiting for babies to be born? Want the beauty and brilliance of a baby of your own without having to wait? With the Your Baby Now online program, you'll learn how to create a real human baby in only 2 days. Yes, that's right, from conception to delivery in just 2 days. This amazing miracle has been transforming the lives of thousands. Call now. Of course, this is ridiculous, but the example points to the absurdity of ignoring natural law. Your growth and expansion are no different. The truth is you can transform yourself and any area of your life, and programs and products do make a difference. At the right moment, the right program can bring on a catharsis, a breakthrough, or a significant insight. All of these contribute to your growth. However, the realization of most breakthroughs as recognizable change on a day-to-day basis typically happens over time, not overnight. There's wisdom in the old saying, it takes a lifetime to become an overnight success. So as a NexGen human, you're wise, you respect the natural process of life, and you take it one step at a time. Borrowing an affirmation from New World Library founder Mark Allen, we can affirm, my life is perfectly unfolding in a relaxed and easy way, in its own perfect time for the highest good of all. Say it with me now if you'd like. My life is perfectly unfolding in a relaxed and easy way, in its own perfect time for the highest good of all. How does that feel? It feels great to me to trust the natural unfolding of my life and to let go of all the struggle, negative judgment, stress, worry, and concern. We can learn to trust the universal life force energy, allowing its movement through us and unfolding one step at a time, our magical, amazing self. In my book, I present a 4-stage model for learning and change known as Abraham Maslow's Mastery Matrix. In stage 1, we are unconsciously incompetent. We don't know what we don't know. We move to stage 2 when we become consciously incompetent. We now know what we don't know. With practice, we can then move to stage 3, where we become consciously competent. And with continued practice, we eventually move to stage 4 and become unconsciously competent. Our new capacity becomes just the way things are for us. On our path of evolution, it's important to be gentle with ourselves, to allow experimentation and failure, and to be willing to be the fool. Success is actually created through a series of failures. We can reframe failure as a learning process and affirm that the only failure is the failure to learn. Sustainable, real transformation happens over time, one step at a time. And that brings us now to chapter 7. Your place in the universe, the power of your purpose. Here I would like to present in brief my 7 principles of purpose. You can read more about these in my book if you'd like. Principle number 1, you have a purpose. Every one of us does. Principle 2, it's your job to find it, to discover it. No one else can do this for you. Principle 3, the vast majority of people in the world don't care and don't want what you have to offer. But, and this is a huge but, some do, and for them, you are critical. Principle number 4, your people will not show up until you do. You must show up first. You must stand up and say, this is who I am, this is what I have to offer, and if you want some, let's talk. Principle number 5, you will be happy, successful, and satisfied with your life to the extent you embrace your authentic purpose. And you will be unhappy, unfulfilled, dissatisfied, and frustrated to the extent you do not. Principle number 6, it's not your job to question your purpose. It's your job to engage and live it. The sooner you get on board and embrace your purpose, the happier you'll be. Principle number 7, you must nurture your purpose. Your purpose will ebb and flow throughout the course of your life. Your job is to keep fanning the flames and making your vision, your calling, a reality here and now. So those are the principles. Now here's the 7 myths. Myth number 1, it's too late for me, or I'm too old and missed my chance. Truth is, it's never too late. You're still here, you're here for a reason, and you got time. Get on with it. Myth number 2, leap and a net will appear. No, it won't. Better to put your own net there than leap. Myth number 3, do what you love and the money will follow. No, it won't. If that happens for some people, it's pure luck, because this is not a law. Manifesting money, like manifesting anything in life, requires focus and competence. Myth number 4, you can be anything you want. No, you can't. While there is a relatively wide range of creative roles you can engage on your authentic life path, you have a specific purpose and a unique mission in life. The universe has a plan for you. Recognize and embrace it. Myth number 5, the purpose of life is material success. Or, if someone is successful in the material area of life, they are successful in all areas of life. The purpose of life is spiritual evolution, the constant expansion of your capabilities to be and manifest who you are. This is typically achieved by overcoming adversity and challenges, barriers both real and perceived. Manifesting material goods is only one aspect of the challenge. Myth number 6, you need formal education, training, and credentials to make a difference. No, you need competence to make a difference. And competence is developed and obtained in many ways, of which formal education and training is only one. Myth number 7, if anything is going to happen, it's up to me to make it happen. Well, not so. Non-local intelligence has infinite organizing power and can make things happen far beyond what our little physical selves may be able to think about, much less orchestrate. The universe will make things happen if the local intent and desire is authentically aligned with it. In other words, the clarity of you as the local channel will determine the efficiency of the non-local power. Your job is to maximize the clarity of the local channel by getting your small s self out of the way, making room for the non-local intelligence and power to express through you. I will end this chapter by saying what you love and God's will for you are one and the same. Follow your love, follow your passion, and you will find you are following your purpose. So in conclusion, the great transformation is transforming ourselves from victim to creator in all areas of our life. It's all about evolution and continuously evolving ourselves to higher and wider planes of consciousness in our lives, accessing increasing levels of freedom and love. We take it one step at a time, having patience with ourselves, trusting, allowing our growth and expansion to occur naturally over time. And we embrace our place in the universe and the power of our purpose, recognizing that each and every one of us has a reason for being here that is at the same time our greatest opportunity for personal evolution and the key to our highest levels of fulfillment and satisfaction. And finally, once again, I would like to end this homily in the field of love and bring our awareness into our hearts. The heart is the key at this time on the planet. We can breathe in and out of our heart, activating this power, this intelligence, this guidance. By breathing deeply and slowly, activate a feeling of appreciation, of gratitude. And feel it in your heart, feel it in your body. Feel it in every cell of your being. And as you feel it in every cell of your being, you can allow it to spill over and radiate out, shining, glowing, soothing, inspiring, uplifting. This heart-based frequency of appreciation and gratitude, of love, is the pulse of life. Love is the energy of life. Love is life. Breathe it, know it, and be it. Thank you. I'll now open it up to any questions you may have, if there are any. So she's asking about the local power versus the non-local power. Talk more about the local power. The local power is us. We are the receiver and transmitter. As I like to say, we are unique doorways between heaven and earth, the metaphysical and the physical. So the local channel is this: body, mind, heart, and soul that we each have as unique beings on the planet. So cultivating the integration of your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul, and getting all of those in alignment so that our thoughts and our feelings are congruent, so that our body is alive, the body temple, cultivating the physical health and wellness and vibrancy of our physical body, our mental body, our emotional body, and our spiritual body. So the local channel is us, and there are many practices, ways of being, and working with that local channel to really clean it out, and get it fully aligned so that we can best channel and receive the non-local intelligence, gifts, love, power, miracles, etc. So eating good food, fasting on a regular basis, lots of clean filtered water. I see yoga people in here. Yoga, moving the body, connecting with nature, using affirmations, going into your heart and noticing where there's trauma and working with the trauma, healing and releasing it so that it's not driving unconsciously or reactive behaviors in the world. This is the work of clearing the non-local channel and getting it fully aligned. So we all have lots of work to do. And even after you've cleansed it and cleared that local channel, it gets gummed up again and you got to do it again. So it's like lifelong practice, long-term path of maintaining the clarity of the local channel to receive and emit the non-local intelligence and love. So I hope that helps. Awesome. I love the question. Thank you.
How is it best to respond to perceptions of injustice, evil, war, all the bad things in the world in relationship to your own spiritual evolution?
It's a good and big question. Good and big question. And we, of course, each have to answer that for ourselves. And I will share my particular perspective and practice on that. And the first is to notice in me what's arising in my experience. So, is war arising in my experience? It is. Is injustice arising in my experience? It is. And in fact, on the spiritual path that I've been on, I've become more aware of the injustice present in our world. Some spiritual teachers say that's part of becoming a greater consciousness, that as you expand your consciousness, you not only expand into the light, you expand into the dark. There's more dark that's coming forward to be seen, to be witnessed, to be held in my awareness, and it's incredibly uncomfortable. And how do I navigate that? That's your question. What do I do about that? The first thing for me is to realize that I can't do something about everything. None of us can do something about everything. And so I would return back to my purpose. What is my purpose? Another way of asking it is, what battles am I called to fight? Where am I called to make my difference? Am I going over to Ukraine to stop the war? Am I going to have a personal meeting with Zelensky and tell him, what the hell are you doing? No. Can I sit down with Putin and have a conversation? Probably not. So I just notice my capacity to specifically operate in that theater of war is limited compared to others who are there. So how can I make a difference there? There are ways that I can. We can all send love. We can all vibrate in the frequency of love. There's ways of impacting things that are far outside of my realm of personal, intimate engagement. So I look for the things that are close in. Where can I make the difference here and now? Is there a homeless person outside my house that I can make a difference with? There's my injustice that I can impact. Is there a community that I can come and speak to in Palo Alto and shine the love of God the best I can? There is. Here I am. So I make the difference that I can. I say yes to these invitations. So the long story short is, where's your circle of influence, your envelope of influence, and play full out right in there and make the difference that you can make in the world that you live in. And to the extent you want to make a difference for things that are far outside the envelope, feel into that. What can you do? It's a great question. Thank you.
When you're talking about the non-local intelligence and how when we're in alignment, it's easier for those things to come. But there have been times when I have been totally out of alignment when things have, I'm not asking and not aware, and for years not in a good, where things have come. So what was that about? And I'm trying to move more into that space, but you know, sometimes I'm my own worst enemy. Just put it that way.
Right. Johanna's asking, you know, with respect to aligning yourself as the local channel to receive the blessings or power and partner with the non-local intelligence. Yes, but she said, I've had amazing things happen when I've been totally out of alignment and my local channel was all gummed up, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. So what's with that? Well, I call that grace. That's grace. You know, when you're just all wound up and disconnected and, you know, in hell. And the light of God shines in. Thank God for that, that we don't have to be fully aligned to receive the gifts of grace of the non-local intelligence. So it's always here, it's always running, and perhaps it shines at the moments we need it most, when we're in our darkest night and we're not aligned. But of course we align the best we can. We optimize ourselves consciously, consistently, to really make it easy for God to shine through. That's the practice, but it'll shine through. Yes, thank you. Grace.
We're run a lot by subconscious programs, and a lot of them we just can't get at, and we don't know what they are. So any thoughts you might have on erasing or getting in touch with these programs that that are running our lives that we can't really ordinarily get in touch with? And very much, I hate to use the word, but victim of my own programming that I can't break through. So any thoughts you might have on that, I'd appreciate.
Right. Thank you, Chris. I know we've had some conversations in the Why Wednesday group about this. It's really essential. It's the crux of a lot of suffering in the world, this unconscious or subconscious patterning that is within the human psyche can cause, you know, repetitive, habitual, unhelpful patterns, you know, patterns that we suffer when we activate them. And so we wonder, where's that coming from? Why does that happen? And because it's unconscious, it's so difficult to get a handle on it. It's kind of in the hidden realm. What's the belief that's running beneath my consciousness? And the first thing that I notice is that we become aware that there's a belief because of an experience we're having in the physical world. Something is happening, whether it's a mental experience, an emotional experience, or a physical experience that indicates something other than our conscious awareness is running the show. So that's where we can begin to get some traction. Oh, why do I keep yelling at my partner when she says this? You know, I'm triggered. What's that trigger? So I notice my behaviors in the world, and that's the first sign that something is awry, something is off. Or the way I would frame it, there's an evolutionary opportunity to experience more freedom and love through this doorway of an unconscious habitual pattern that's currently causing me and others far more suffering than I would prefer. So we move into that space and use whatever tools at our disposal. Chris, you know as well as anybody, there's an almost infinite number of processes you can engage. And I've tried a lot of them. And some of them have worked for me and some of them haven't. But the key is to become more and more aware of those things and keep trying. And maybe at some point you embrace the serenity prayer. At some point you say, this is something I can't change. This is something that's not meant for change. And therefore I surrender to this unconscious habitual pattern I may be running I'm going to take it to my grave. And then find peace with that. And guess what? Often when I surrender and find peace with the nightmare that I'm living, something changes and the nightmare moves along and I move into more light and love. So this constant trying to fix it and change it and get free of it can be a way of causing persistence. So we find ways of moving through in our own unique and authentic way and ultimately surrender to our experience in the end. So that's what I would offer. I know it's not the silver bullet we all are hoping for, but
Yeah, it's interesting feedback. Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about surrender and so forth, and that's it's tricky because it's like working to surrender, manipulating yourself so you can surrender. I mean, it's a real contradiction. And I've tried to surrender, and it's once in a while I can get in that space. And the times I've got in that space, I didn't try. I gave up in a way that I stopped trying to manipulate things. And the few times I did that in my life, that's when the miracles happened. But to be able to just bring it on anytime, that's another thing.
well, the other thing I would add too is in my own life, I have some unconscious limiting beliefs that I've been working with. They were unconscious for years until the early 90s when I started really seeing them as this unconscious patterning in my life. I'm not good enough. I'm not loved. I don't make a difference. I'm a disappointment. All of these very debilitating belief systems running in my entire life. I was making decisions from those things and behaving in certain ways because of that unconscious programming. And at 57 years old, I'm still working with those patterns. But I will tell you that it's like climbing up a mountain. There's a spiral path going up a mountain, and there's a town on one side of that mountain called Limiting Beliefs of Roger Marsh. And as I go up this mountain path, I see that town. And then I do something and I become free of it. And I'm like, oh, it's gone. I've healed it. It's gone. Yay. And I'm hiking up the path and I'm celebrating the journey. And then there's that town again. What the heck? Why is that town back again? It's there. But I've learned to celebrate. I'm at a higher altitude. The town is further away. It's not as powerful and as present as it was. I'm aware of it. Here it is. And I'm making different choices. And I continue through and I keep going up. And that's how it's been for me and still is. And I ask people at advanced ages, and I say, have you gotten rid of your limiting beliefs? And some of them say, pretty much, I don't have them anymore. But most will say, they're still here. They're just 7-year-old little me is still there, but it doesn't have a voice at the table to make the choice. So this is the path, the long-term path, one step at a time. It's all about evolution, being gentle with ourselves and celebrating every step we take. That's the key. And guess what? In this life, you go as far as you can, and then maybe you pick it up again in the next. So this isn't the only opportunity. Those are really good questions. Thank you.